This is Adam Petty with Every Cast Counts Fishing. Let's go fishing. Hey guys, we're out here on Falls Lake in Raleigh, North Carolina today. I'm out here with my videographer, Mario Campbell. We're going to try and show you a few different techniques and stuff to use. It's late July. We're going to be fishing ledges, humps, stuff like that. It's the mid-80s today. We're going to be using primarily deep diving crankbaits and jigs. Once we get to the locations that we're actually going to fish, we'll dive a little bit deeper into how to use those and some of the specifics on the baits. Falls Lake's about a 12,000 acre impoundment. Like I said, water temp's going to be in the mid-80s along with the air temperature today. Hopefully we'll be able to catch some fish for you. Looking forward to it. Get ready for a ride. Hey guys, we're out here on the water now, getting to our first spot. Today I've got my Humminbird on my boat here. It's 1100 series. It's also got a Navionics map chip in it. What that's going to do, that's going to give us 1 foot contour lines. It'll show us a little bit more about the road beds, your creek channels, stuff like that we'll be interested in looking for. It also gives you some more information, your water temps, your depth, stuff of that nature. So here in just a second, we'll show you some of the specifics of exactly what we're looking for and show you how to read the map and the contour lines, and then we'll dive a little bit further into actually switching over to Sonar and looking at it from that aspect and making sure we're fishing what's down there the proper way. Right here's what I was talking about. It's an offshore. Here's the shoreline. The shaded area, you can adjust that in the Humminbird units to be whatever depth you want to target. But right there, we've got that underwater point that comes out. That's an irregularity that you want to focus on when bass fishing. You've got all your contour lines here that are also stacked up tightly together. Same way right on this side. This right here is the bottom where it's going to be a little bit flatter. The tighter your contour lines are together, the steeper your drop off. And you can see the edges here where they're going to drop off. This is the kind of stuff we're going to be focusing on today. What we're fishing with here is a Jewel jig. It's our Pro Spider jig. It's about 7/16 of an ounce. It's Texas crawl colored. I've got it tipped with a Missile Baits D-bomb. It's in a green pumpkin color. What I've done is I've cut it down the length a little bit to match the skirt, but I haven't cut the edges down. That makes the skirt flare out and gives it a little bigger profile. It's a little easier for the fish to find in this deeper water. What we've got out here is a rock ledge. We're sitting out right now. We're in about 8 to 10 foot of water. We're throwing up. We're going to move out a little bit further. But what I'm doing is just throwing up there on top of that rock ledge, hopping it through some of those rocks. We're going to bring it down this drop off, see if we can't get a couple of fish to bite in the process. what I'm feeling for is there's rocks, and I'll take that jig and I'll pull it up to a rock, and then I'll kind of let it sit and I'll hop it across. A lot of times those fish will get down there on that irregular structure, like this rock pile down here. There's a bite. No, come on. He bit the end of my jig and took that Missile Baits trailer right off. Let's put another one on and try it again. I just pinched about that much of this D-bomb off, and this is what I was talking about a while ago, how the flares out. Sometimes you can cut that ridge off, but I didn't do it this time because we're fishing a little deeper, and when I slide it up on this jig, it's going to make that skirt flare out, and that's going to give it that bigger profile that we were talking about a little bit earlier. See how it makes everything wider up top? That's what we're looking for in these deep water situations. Today I'm casting this jig on my Lew's Tournament Pro. It's a 7:1 gear ratio. I like that high gear ratio when I'm fishing these ledges, because a lot of times a fish will pick up that jig and he'll swim off with it. The higher gear ratio is 31 inches per handle turn, so each time I turn that handle I'm taking up a little bit more line to help catch up to that fish to try and get a solid hook set. Nope. The problem with this ledge fishing, a lot of times, some of those fish, they'll pick up the jig and they'll pick up the tail of it. That's why I lost that trailer a while ago. There may be some smaller fish down there, but at least we're getting bit. Hopefully we'll hook up on one here in just a minute. What we're going to do now is we left that spot we went to, and we're going to get over here on this ledge where all your contour lines are so tight together and see if we can bring anything. This is a point that comes way out, and we're going to come off the side of that point, throw the jig and crankbait, and see if we can't get a couple to bite over in this spot. Out here on the tip, there's some stumps, some other structure like that we're going to try and key in on. I'm marking a few fish down there around 12 foot or so. It's just going to be a matter of getting the bait in front of them and getting them to bite. Now I'm going to switch over and I'm fishing a Strike King 6XD. It's got rattles. I don't know if you can hear those or not. The 6XD dives 19, 20 foot, around that range, depending on what pound test line you're using. It's got the long bill, is straight, that helps it dive a little deeper. It also, that rounded bill, helps it deflect a little bit off of your structure that you're fishing down there. With this crankbait, what you're going to want to do is you want to make sure you've got one that dives deep enough to get down there and hit the bottom good. You want to keep solid contact with it. A lot of times your bite will come when that crankbait's in contact with the bottom versus just swimming somewhere a little further up through the water column. You can come and hit a rock or a stump or something like that and make that crankbait deflect off of the structure, and that's when you'll get your bite a lot of times. Finally got a small one, need a crankbait here. Strike King 6XD in the sexy shad color. right off the point, right as it drops off into the channel. One more thing I'm going to try that sometimes could be a summer pattern. We're going to go to a bluff wall around the corner here. What we'll do is we'll throw our baits right up there, right pretty much on the bank, let it fall straight down and kind of bring it back to us. Sometimes they'll stage on those ledges on that bluff wall. They'll be like little step downs. See if we can't catch a couple over there on a couple of lay downs. What we've got here is we've got a split screen. We've got a traditional 2D sonar, a 3D sonar, and your side imaging. Basically, if you take this image and rotate it, that line right there will mimic those lines. This is looking out to the side, whereas these are looking straight down. In a minute, if we run across some, I can show you where we've got some stumps, rock, stuff such as that. This Humminbird unit makes it a whole lot easier to cover water quickly, which is very important when you're practicing for a tournament. Right here, you can see a little bit maybe. You've got a dark spot there. You got a couple of dark spots there, one there. What that is, that's gonna be your rocks, your stumps, stuff like that. This line right here is where you're falling off the ledge into the river channel. Sometimes, depending on what area of the lake you're in, we'll fish that river channel. This makes it a lot easier to go across and find that stuff and find your key fish holding structures. Now we're at the bluff wall we were talking about a second ago. If you look over there at the bank, you'll see how it kind of drops straight down. We're throwing our jig right up next to that bluff wall and bringing it off. We've had a few boats ride by. A lot of people will get frustrated with the boat traffic. Sometimes those bait fish will suspend up near that bluff wall, and that wave action will actually get the water stirred up, and the bait fish will start becoming a little more active, and the bass will it'll actually ignite the bass to start eating on those bait fish. Hopefully here in just a second we can get a couple to bite our jig as well. There's a bite. And that's how you want to see them eat a jig, way down in their throat. Different ledge now. We're sitting in about 18 foot of water, throwing up on top of about a 12-foot shell. Since we're fishing a little bit deeper, I've changed my jigs. I'm still using a jewel in the Texas crawl color, but I've gone to a 5/8 ounce football head instead of the 7/16 spider jig like I was talking about a little earlier. The football head, it has a wide head and it allows it to come through rock very well. It helps it also stand up on the bottom. I'm still using a missile D-bomb trailer on it. It gives it good flare, it gives it good action, and the tails on it will really kick if you reel it in kind of fast. There's a bite. Not a big one, but at least we're getting bit on that jewel jig. Today also, I've got my Lew's reel spooled with Seagar and VizX. I've got 15-pound line. We're throwing it in rock, so I want a little heavier line than a lot of times I'd be using in open water. That VizX is a fluorocarbon-based line. The advantage of that is it allows me to feel the bait better. It's got better sensitivity, allows me to pick up on the subtle bites like we're having here today. The fluorocarbon also has low stretch. Monofilament is good at floats for top water, stuff such as that, but the jigs and Carolina rigs, spinnerbaits, I like the low stretch line because when you set the hook, you really want to get good penetration. That's where this InvisX comes into play for me. Oh yeah, that's what we've been waiting for. Oh my gosh. That's a chub right there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're looking for. See how deep that jig is down in her throat? That's how we want to see you meet it. Beautiful Falls Lake, North Carolina fish. Now we're going to release her so we can catch her again another day. Hey guys, thanks for riding along with us today with Every Cast Counts Fishing Service. We've been out here, like I said, at Falls Lake. Just a short summary of today. We fished ledges, we fished some points, we fished some underwater humps. We did catch a few fish. We didn't slay them today by any means, but we caught a few. Our best, most productive areas tend to be a little rock on some humps and points. Didn't catch any on any wood, didn't catch any on any of the channel breaks or anything. But luckily we did catch a few on the rocks. Show y'all a variation of different applications to use, baits, stuff such as that. Appreciate you watching today. Go out and fish. Good luck. Thanks.